Hi everyone, it's Lindy on. Today we're going to create 3 birthday cards, but what's going to be special about these is we're going to use a product called Cosmic Shimmer Glossy Glaze to do some stenciling on the backgrounds, and that'll really be the focus of our cards today. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to grab that largest die, and these are the nested rectangle dies. And you can see that you get a ton of sizes. This is great for making little layers and frames for your cards. You even get those little tiny ones in the middle there. I've got some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm going to run that through the die cutting machine. For the stencil today, we're using the Hero Arts Lacy Floral Stencil, and this is just gorgeous. This is a 6x6" stencil. So let's lay it over top of our cardstock. I've got my Wendy Vecchi Make Art Station, and I'll just place some magnets down to hold this stencil in place. Now I'm going to be showing you a new product, at least a new product for me, that we're going to be stenciling with, and this is the Cosmic Shimmer Glossy Glaze. I'm going to be using 3 different colors today, but I'm going to start off with the blush pink, and these are just so beautiful. They're going to be very shiny, and you can almost see that the consistency is a little bit different than a paste would be. It's a little bit thinner, so it will go on very easily. Now I've got my Distress palette knives. I'm going to grab one of those. Those are from Tim Holtz. And then I'll grab some of this glaze, and I just wanted to show you it is a little bit thinner, so it's going to go on really easily. You do want to make sure your stencil is securely down when you're doing this. You don't want any of that glaze to go underneath. And then I'm just going to spread this out nice and evenly across this entire panel. And I just think this glaze is gorgeous. It's a little bit translucent so you can see through. So I haven't tried it, but I would imagine if you did some stamping first and then applied the glaze over top, you would be able to see that stamping underneath. And again, it's going to dry with this beautiful shine to it. It almost looks wet when it's dry. So now I've spread that out nice and evenly. I want to make sure I clean off that palette knife. And then let's go ahead and remove the stencil, and you'll just see how gorgeous this stencil is. Now I do have a little bit of extra around the edges, so I'm just going to use my little craft pick tool there to lift this up. And then I'll go back to that palette knife and just clean off those edges. So once I have that cleaned off, we can set that aside to dry. And you can see that beautiful glaze that we're going to get from this. So let's set that one aside. Now I die cut another panel from that largest rectangle die. And now I've got the Cosmic Shimmer, and this one is the Inspired Lilac. And again, you can just see how beautiful these are. Now this glaze, once it's dry, you can go ahead and you could trim down this panel with your trimmer. It won't harm the glaze at all. You could also run this through with your die cuts. So you can also die cut this after you're done. Make sure it's completely dry before you do that. And it also does attach itself to porous and non-porous surfaces. So you could use it on your acetate if you wanted to as well. So it has a lot of different properties to it, which makes it really kind of fun and versatile. I like when you can use your products for a multitude of different things. So this is kind of fun. But today we're just going to do some simple stenciling. And what I wanted to do today was make a set of note cards. Just 3, we're going to make 3 note cards. They're going to be pretty much exactly the same layout. This is a quick and easy way to make a lot of cards. And there you can see that beautiful glaze up close again. So let's go ahead and do the last one. And for this last one, I'm going to be using the Daydream Yellow. And again, you'll see how gorgeous this is. I'll open this up so you can take a quick look at that. And it's so pretty. So again, when you want to make just a whole bunch of cards for yourself or a set of note cards, this is a fun way to use the same layout. Just change up your colors. We're going to change the ribbon that we're using, and basically everything else will be the same. So you can quickly, once your design is laid out, you can quickly create a whole bunch of cards. And as long as I have everything out here, I've got my Make Art Station out, I've got my spatula, and everything's ready to go, I might as well just do quite a few colors, and then I can let all of these dry at the same time. Again, I'll just scrape away any extra, and I love this yellow, it's just so pretty. So again, I'm just going to take off that excess, and now we can let all three of these sit and dry, and I do want to let them dry completely. I did not use my heat tool on these, I just let these air dry and set those aside. So now for the stamps, we're going to do some simple stamping. We're going to grab that little cake, and this is from the birthday journal set. This is a brand new set, and this is part of the watercolor series from Art Impressions. For the balloons and that little banner, you do get the coordinating dies. For a sentiment, we're going to use this really fun birthday sentiment set from Art Impressions. Another brand new set, and we're going to use that sentiment that says time for cake, but you can see you get lots of nice birthday sentiments in there. And again, I'm grabbing the cake, and then we'll grab the sentiment, and we're going to stamp these both at the same time. So again, because I'm making the 3 cards, I'm going to just get this set up and ready to start doing my stamping. So I've got the Staz-on ink. This is the jet black ink. This is a permanent black ink. And I'm stamping onto some Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. And I've cut 3 panels to the exact same size, so I can just pop these in and quickly do my stamping. Let's go ahead and do that next one. And then I did the third one the same way. But again, if you were making 6, 8, 10 of these, just get it set up and ready to go. And it's going to go really quickly as a little production line. So now I've got, for my coloring, I'm using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. And this color is the Lilac. And these, I will be listing the colors that I'm using in that upper left-hand corner as we're going along. And then I'll use, for the second cake, I'm going to use the Sugared Almond Pink. And I'm just using one color for each of these, and I'm just adding a bit more color if I need a little bit more shadowing. Using my blender pen to do my blending. And then for the last one, I'm going to switch over to the yellow. So this is very quick. I picked a tiny image so that I could show you how quickly you could make 3 cards. Really the most time consuming part is letting that glaze dry, but you could do a day ahead of time, let that sit and dry, or go to lunch and come back and everything will be all set. Now I've grabbed the beige, and I'm going to add a little bit of beige and some shadowing on each of those cakes. And then I've got the light gray and the gray for each of the trays or the plates that that cake is sitting on. For the candles, I'm just going to use a little bit of light gray just down the sides, just for a little shadow. So we'll leave those candles mostly white. And then I'm going to add a little flame on these. I'm just drawing that in, just a little teardrop shape at the top with yellow and bright yellow. And I'll just blend that out just a little bit. Now with my Wink of Stella clear glitter pen, I'm adding a little bit of sparkle to the flames on the cakes and to the frosting. And I'll do that for all 3. You do want to clean that pen off in between because we are using water-based markers to do our coloring. So we don't want to transfer any of that color to the next piece of cake. So just scribble that off on your scrap paper, and then you can change colors. I've got my Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen. This is the 0.1 millimeter, and I'm just adding some little stripes to my candles. So now we're going to die cut these using the Art Impressions Journal rectangle frames, and that set comes with quite a few different frames, but it has these two sizes of these scalloped squares. So I'm going to take these down with a little bit of Post-it tape, and I'll run these through the Sizzix Sidekick machine. So this will give us a frame and die cut out that center piece with the cake and with the sentiment. Now I also want to die cut a couple extra frames for these. We're going to stack these up so that we can create a little bit thicker frame. So I die cut those other two, and now I've got some light gray cardstock, or like a medium gray cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and create a gray frame for each of these cards. And I don't need the center part on these, I just want to grab those frames. So I did that for each one. Let's go ahead and glue these together. I'll just glue a white and gray frame together for each of these. So let's go ahead and set those aside, and let's work on putting our cards together. So I've got all of these beautiful stenciled panels ready to go, and they're nice and dry. So I'm going to use my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive and add plenty of that to the back. I do want to add enough. These panels do warp just slightly, so I want to make sure these lay nice and flat on my cardstock. Now I'm just lining it up on that same gray paper that we use for the frames, and I've just cut that about a 1/4 inch larger all the way around. Now I've got some really pretty baker's twine in coordinating colors, and all I'm going to do is wrap it around about 3 times, and I'm doing it off to the left hand side of the panel, and then we'll be tying a bow with this. Let me just cut this off, and then I'll use my reverse tweezers just to hold that for me while I tie that bow. This just sort of acts as an extra set of hands for you. You can just clamp that down, and then I'll straighten out those pieces of baker's twine just a little bit there, just spreading those out a little bit. Again, I'll just clamp this together, and then I can go ahead and tie a knot. Once I do that, I'm just going to loop this part back underneath those 3 pieces of baker's twine and just tie these together right at this point. I just want it all to come together right here at the top, and now I can go ahead and tie the bow. So this just adds a little interest to the side of the card because they are fairly simple, and I really just want to highlight the stenciled background. So I'm keeping the rest of the card pretty simple. So we'll just cut away any excess, and I'll tie those other 2 off camera. So here's what they look like. Now we can go ahead and create our card bases. So these cards will measure 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So they'll be A2 size top folding cards. So again, let's go ahead and add some adhesive and glue these down. And that'll give us a little bit of that white border all the way around the edges. Now you could certainly pop up this panel if you prefer. I've got the 2 frames. I'm going to add one up towards the top and then another one just below it, kind of towards the right hand side. I'm keeping the same distance between the top of that frame to the edge and from the right hand side of that smaller frame. So just kind of trying to line that up so I have maybe about a 1/2 inch from the top, and then for this littler one about a 1/2 inch from the side. You do want to put plenty of adhesive on there. You want to make sure it gets attached to that glaze that we stenciled. You want to make sure that it gets attached really well. Now for the sentiment, I'm going to pop that right down inside there. It's really easy to line up, and then I'll just use my tweezers just to make sure I press that in there really well. You could use a bone folder for that as well. And then I've got the little cake. We can pop that right in. And again, I'm going to do the same thing for the other two. Now to add a little sparkle, I've got the Pinkfresh Studio Ombre Glitter Drops. And these are really pretty. I'll give you a closer look at these. This little collection is called Sparkle and Shine. And it's got like a glitter built into these little gems. It's kind of a two-tone, a little bit of a yellowy gold color and then a clear color on the other side. Here's another set of glitter drops in Pixie Dust. Let me give you a closer look at that. And these are kind of two-toned as well. And again, have that really pretty sparkle there. And the last one is called Twighlight. So let's go ahead and glue these down. I just added a sprinkling of those all around just to give it a little more interest. And now look at that background. Look at that beautiful glazed background. I just love this. And again, I think if you did some stamping underneath there, it would show through, which would be really nice. And as I said earlier, you can die cut once these panels are dry, and you can cut it with your paper trimmer. So it's really pretty versatile. So there's the last one in that pretty yellow. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.